So Blizzard kinda wiggled around redeeming Sylvanas, and they went with something in between, kind of a compromise. She is not straight out gone, defeated, she was also not redeemed so that everything is okay now, and was sentenced to a pretty harsh but useful punishment. As we don't know the exact terms of how this sentence will work out, it is hard to decide how this actually leads to justice and whether it is really justice. However, despite that, it was strongly hinted that she will return at some point in time, and ultimately there might even be a redemption, just split over a few years so that people don't really freak out. So how could this turn out in the end? As a gamer, you no doubt spend a long time in front of a screen, and that can really stress out your eyes and just strain them and affect your sleep. Now, G&G Performance, the sponsor of this video, sent me these glasses a few months back, and I've used them ever since. Pretty much just like a physical blue light filter that immediately makes your eyes relax. Now, if you use my link, for the next 48 hours, you'll get a 25% discount. So check out G&G Performance. It is no doubt that Sylvanas has been the key character, not just in the Shadowlands, but also in BFA and even the expansions before. Her storyline really went crazy in the Shadowlands, and she got an entire novel just dedicated to her. Literally, it is named Sylvanas. Now, realistically, the biggest concern we all had was that they're going to just straight out redeem Sylvanas as if nothing happened, as if she didn't burn Teldrassil, and I gotta say, that was a completely legitimate concern, as really all the things were pointing towards that happening at some point in the future. However, Blizzard decided to, in my opinion, take the best possible route with what they had to work with. Now, I'm not saying what they did with Sylvanas was genius in any sense and meaning of that word. Personally, I would not even give her so much importance in the first place, and they really wrote themselves into a hole and have been doing that for years, but they managed to salvage at least some of the storyline that really seemed like it was destined to just crash and burn, sort of pulling the best of both worlds. Most recently, we got a cinematic where Tyrande was given the right by the Arbiter to judge Sylvanas, and she sent her to save souls from the depths of the maw, the ones she condemned there, and there might even be some talk about her penance beginning after that is done. Honestly, I'm not sure what other scenario they could have done. It was really mission impossible at this point to make some sort of genius conclusion to this entire storyline. If they just outright killed her, I really don't see how that would be justice, as she would get a swift end despite condemning so many to terrible fates. If we sent her for an eternity of torture within the maw, that would not really make us any better than her or the jailer, and if she sacrificed herself in the fight against the jailer, that would just be super cheesy and just totally expected. So this way, she was sentenced to at least prove herself useful and to undo some of that damage that she had done over the years. Now, if you watch my video I recently made about the hints of Teldrassil being renewed, this sentence might even make more sense. Seriously, in 9.2.5 we have actually data mined some wild seeds, as well as an in-game cinematic called the Queen's Gift that strongly indicates that a new Teldrassil could be formed with the help of the Winter Queen of Ardenweald. From what we have seen with previous cinematics, Elune essentially directly or indirectly sacrificed the World Tree, or allowed it to happen, as well as a ton of Night Elven souls in order to help out her sister in the afterlife. So this time, the Winter Queen might sacrifice a bit of Ardenweald to restore Teldrassil or to form a new World Tree so that she helps out life, returns the favor, because after all, if it was life, it was us that saved the Shadowlands and her realm. It actually makes total sense when you think about it. Ardenweald is a completely different realm than any other Shadowlands one. It is the winter cycle, while the Emerald Dream that is a part of Azeroth is a summer cycle. We have seen wild gods and the lore regenerate here in these pods, then they're resurrected and sent back to the material plane. Additionally, world trees such as Teldrassil are heavily tied into the Emerald Dream, and if the Emerald Dream is tied into Ardenweald, that means there might be a connection between Ardenweald and Azeroth's world trees, meaning that the Winter Queen might be able to exert some influence over these trees. Now, trees and world trees aside, the reason I'm telling you this is the actual souls anima from the Shadowlands can regenerate in these pods, and then they're sent back to the material plane. Now, Tyrande talked with Elune, and Elune seemingly convinced her super easy, surprisingly easily, that she should just turn to renewal, just forget your vengeance, and let's just rebuild. So maybe she knows something that we don't, and that is that Sylvanas isn't just saving saving these souls from the afterlife of torture within the maw, but she might actually be returning them back to life, or maybe just returning them as wisps back to Azeroth. This way, she could legitimately undo the terrible crimes that she had committed. Previously, in other videos, I talked about, yeah, her sentence is cool and all, but I don't see how saving souls from the maw exactly brings them back to life, but this might literally be just what she will do. It is possible that she could return the souls to Ardenweald and then return them to life together with a brand new world tree. Now, in the novel, in the cinematic, and the in-game stuff, it was heavily hinted that this is not the actual end of Sylvanas. This doesn't seem like some mythical task that she will never be able to accomplish, like a symbolical Sisyphus pushing her up a hill task, but it is more like if you manage to undo this damage, then we can talk about actually redeeming you and giving you some peace. In fact, it was heavily hinted that they're not going to just kill off Sylvanas after she is done with the task. They wrote the entire book about her, and they seemingly sent Anduin to help her within the maw. Anduin seems to have literally abandoned his post as the king of the humans and the leader of the alliance in order to go to the maw and to help Sylvanas. There are even talks in the book about how Sylvanas only saw tragedy, hopelessness, death, but now, when Anduin came around for the first time ever, she felt something positive, optimistic, as if there might actually be some hope. Now, personally, I doubt Ardenweald would just abandon the throne of Stormwind in order to help Sylvanas in her impossible community service. This mission honestly seems like it will actually be accomplished, and accomplished quite soon, as if it has an actual end date. Tyrande obviously cares about her people, so she actually plans to recover these souls, not just to sacrifice them in order to keep Sylvanas busy for all eternity. If that was the case, she would just send like an entire team to get them, while she would get Sylvanas to push a rock up a hill for all eternity. This means that if the world tree is restored and possibly the Night Elven souls, Sylvanas might be able to play a role once again. Not sure what role, but obviously the phase 2 of her punishment will happen. In the actual cinematic, Tyrande said, "You will toil there under Doritor's watchful eye, scouring every darkened reach until the final soul is free, and you are all that remains. This is how you shall bring a renewal to your victims and my people. There will be no peace for you, Windrunner, until there is peace for the souls of your victims, and it will be there that your penance begins." Now, obviously, I kind of mixed up these lines, but here are a few key points. There will never be peace for you until there is peace for the victims, and she also says the maw, that is where your penance begins. This means that Tyrande obviously has a phase 2 of her judgment once that is done, and she strongly hints that there will actually be peace for Sylvanas once there is peace for the souls. I'm guessing Blizzard realized that the backlash they would get if they just straight out redeem Sylvanas, so they may be setting up some sort of a long game for that to happen, and not even as in Illidan guarding Sergeras like for all eternity and him not appearing for expansions on end, but actually returning in the next expansion or the one after that. Personally, I think they might give her some time off and they might reintroduce her in the next few years. I gotta say though, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Instead of returning her and giving her some sort of a new prophet role or forming a discount Ebon Blade, I think we should just later on end her character and just let her rejoin with her family in the afterlife, since after all, from the novel, it seems like that is the thing she wishes the most. I'm pretty sure if Sylvanas could choose between leading the Forsaken again or joining her family, she would not even really think twice about it. As a reminder, if you use the link in the description for the next 48 hours, you'll get a 25% discount on GMG Performance glasses.